Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Allie's Book Nook. Today I'm going to share with you the books that I acquired for the month of March 2026. So I have 17 books here to share with you, but one is a library book and one was given to me as an art copy. So basically 15 books that I bought. I also read 15 books in March. So I feel pretty good about that. I did not purchase more than I consumed. So that's a first in a while, and I'm pretty happy about that. So let's start with the library book because I am going to have to give this back probably before I talk about reading it. I don't know. This is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. Tolles, I think is how you say his name, Tolles. This is for my book club through my local library. I've been wanting to read this. I've heard great things about this book and this author, and really excited to check that out. So I'll probably be reading this in the next couple of weeks. Okay, so let's move on to the books that I have in my possession. The first one is an art copy, so I only have it on my Kindle for now. And that is Ride the Spiral by Ben Young. This is the only one in this pile that I have read. Highly recommend. It does come out May 26, 2026. But you can pre-order it now on Amazon, and it will be on Kindle Unlimited. This was a 5-star read for me. This is a cosmic horror novel. And I did do a review just dedicated to this, a short, if you want to go check that out. Really, really good. So Ride the Spiral by Ben Young. The rest are all physical books here that I have not read yet. So paperbacks on top. Here we go. And I have one new book and the rest are all secondhand. The one new book I have is Run by Blake Crouch. So Blake Crouch is pretty much an auto-buy author for me. He's he's like kind of a sci-fi horror genre bender in a lot of his books. And this sounds like it'd be no different. Some bookstores, I see his books in horror section. Some I see them in sci-fi. I got this at Barnes & Noble where he is in the sci-fi section. And I have this on audio, but I didn't have the physical book. This is kind of like, I don't want to say post-apocalyptic, kind of everything's hitting the fan. No time to think, no time to ask why, only time to run. So I did pick this up at Barnes & Noble. I've seen it there before, and then the next time I went, it was gone. Now it was back. I felt like I had to get it. Yeah, love me some Blake Crouch, and this is not that thick of a book, so I'll probably be reading that sooner than later. Next book I have here, the rest of these are all used. This is The Secret She Keeps. This looks to be a thriller, and I got this at Goodwill for $2. And Stephen King calls it a book you won't be able to put down, although you may occasionally want to hide your eyes. That was his little blurb on the back. Next book we have is from my used bookstore for $5. This is Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby. I did read my first S.A. Cosby book this month, and it was okay. The storyline was okay, but I do like his writing, and so I think this will be good. This was in the action section of my used bookstore. It might be more of like a crime fiction, but I think it is pretty action heavy, so yeah, that's on my Libby holds right now. The next book I got at my used bookstore for $5.50, and that is Scott Carson, Where They Wait. This is a horror book, and it says, below the white noise of a meditation app, something sinister lurks, something that knows your name. So that sounds pretty good. There's an app that you can download that's supposed to just be white noise, but there's something dark and malevolent behind it. So yeah, that sounds really good. I picked up my first book of his last month, and I haven't read any of his books, but I got this and another one in this same haul that I plan on reading soon. So let me know if you guys have read any of his books, Scott Carson, and which ones you recommend over others. The next one I have is a classic. This is a Agatha Christie book, and then there were none. I paid $1.50 for this, it looks like. So this was at a different secondhand store. At the beginning of March, I read a book that's a Lorenthan White book that's a take on this one. And when I did my review on it, I was mispronouncing Agatha Christie. I kept wanting to call her like Christie Aggie or something. I don't know. So sorry about that. But this is like one of her probably most popular stories. And this trope has been used in multiple other books by other authors since then. A few that I've read. And so I'm excited to check out the original. It was originally published under, I think the name previously published as 10 Little Indians, which wasn't politically correct. So now it's And Then There Were None. Okay. Sam Hughes Bookstore. This was $2, and this is Kristin Hannah, The Things We Do for Love. I love Kristin Hannah. She's one of my favorite, if not my favorite authors, so was excited to see this. I haven't really heard too much about that book. The next one we have is, but it's probably like a contemporary, well, it's either contemporary fiction or historical fiction. Next one we have is a thriller, and this is by Chevy Stevens, Dark Roads. This is another author. I have a couple of her books, but I've yet to read her. So high on my TBR to check her out. And yeah, Dark Woods. This looks, let's see here. There's people that have been abducted from a rural highway in Canada, which I think the author is Canadian. And is it a possible serial killer? I think that's kind of the plot to that one. The next one is a horror book called Skin by Ted Decker. A freak storm has spawned 3 tornadoes that are bearing down on the town of Somerville. I paid $8 for this used. This might be what genre would you call that? Christian horror, maybe? Because the publisher, Thomas Nelson, I think they're a Christian publisher, and I read another book that he co-authored with someone that was like a Christian horror years ago. What was that? Oh, I don't remember now. House, I think it was called. Oh, was it with Peter Straub? This was years ago. But anyway, I guess I didn't realize that when I picked it up, so that should be kind of interesting. I've seen this book around, so yeah. The next book I have is a thriller, or maybe more of like a legal crime book, Kill for Me, Kill for You. I've heard great things about this book and this author, but I've yet to read him. I got this at Goodwill for $2, and I was super pumped when I saw that. So this is kind of, another plot that's been done a couple of times. The Kind Worth Killing. I did not like that book. I actually have it sitting here to unhaul, but I'm hoping this is a little bit better. Basically, I think it's one dark evening on New York City's Upper West Side, 2 strangers meet by chance. So, 2 strangers meet and agree to unalive someone for the other person. It's been done a few times, but I've heard that this one's really good, so I want to check it out. Next one, I also got at Goodwill. It says 20% off, but this was $2. Here There Are Monsters. They took my sister. I'll take her back. I think this is like a thriller / maybe crime mystery. It looks more like horror on the cover, but yeah, it's about this girl that her sister disappeared and there's some weird stuff going on, and she's going to look into it. So anyway, Here There Are Monsters. I'm pretty sure I've heard of that before. Next one I got at Goodwill for $2. This is just kind of a fun little book. It's Yellowstone Ghost Stories. So Headless Brides, Undead Spirits, Mysterious Sounds. These are allegedly ghost stories that took place in Yellowstone Park, and that's somewhat near to where I am, so I thought that would be kind of like a fun local-ish read. Next one is another Goodwill find for $2, Only If You're Lucky by Stacy Willingham. She has a few books out, and what's her most famous one? I don't own her most famous one. A Flicker in the Dark, but I do own All the Dangerous Things, so I need to get on reading her too. Okay, now we have 4 books left. They're all hardcovers. And this one I got at Goodwill. It's a hardback, so it was $3. And this is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. It says, I remember you. So it is kind of, the condition is kind of questionable. I like the, it doesn't have a dust jacket, but I like the cover. And it does have a ribbon bookmark, but some of the pages have a little bit of water damage. And so physically it's not in the best shape, but I like this edition a lot. And this is, my understanding is it's about a girl that is like, why am I drawing a blank on the word? She can live forever. But the caveat to that is that nobody will ever remember her, which sounds like a pretty sad and lonely existence. And then one day, suddenly someone remembers her the second time that she sees them. So, yeah. I've heard good things about it. We'll see. I think there's not too long of a hold for that on my Libby right now. Next one I got at my used bookstore for $8, and this is Murder Road by Simone St. James. So this was in the thriller section. This is, I think she's kind of a genre blending author too, between horror and thriller. The other book I read of hers last year, which I really liked, was A Sundown Motel, and that is considered horror, but definitely has like a mystery element to it. So this one is, it says, a young couple find themselves haunted by a string of gruesome murders committed along an old deserted road in this terrifying new novel from the New York Times bestselling author, The Book of Cold Cases. I don't know how new it actually is today. Oh, copyright 2024. So yeah, I'm excited. I really liked, I think that was one of my favorite books last year was Sundown Motel. So hopefully this one is good too. This is my other Scott Carson book I got. It's called The Chill. I've never heard of it, but it sounded intriguing. So this is a horror book. I paid $8 for it. It says Stillwater Runs Deep. So it's in upstate New York, and there is a big reservoir there. And it says, early in the 20th century, the town was destroyed for the greater good, bringing water to the millions living downstate. Or at least that's what the politicians from Manhattan insisted at the time. So now we're a century later, and the repercussions of human arrogance are finally making themselves known. So one thing that I kind of debated if I wanted to get this, but one thing that drew me to it was the pictures in the beginning. I don't know that these are real pictures, but it reminded me of the Miss Peregrine for Peculiar Children series, where they have pictures that tie in with the story. And then it has that cool picture at the end. But I think those are the only pictures in the book. Anyway, it sounded unique. I really liked that aspect of it, and so I picked it up. That one is not available in my library's Libby, so. And then the next one I got is The Night Shift by Alex Finley. I think I've read all of his, no. I think he has 4 books, and I've read 2. I own a 3rd, which I recently picked up, probably in the last couple months, and then I picked up this one. This one I got at Goodwill for $3, and this one sounds really good. So his books are, this was, I think he's considered maybe like crime fiction. His books are pretty fast-paced, pretty action-packed, which sometimes I don't always like that if it's like shoot-'em-up action, but the 2 that I've read of his I really liked, and they were really fast-paced, really good. So this one, if I remember right, it's about some people, like younger people that work at a video store in the 90s. Think like Blockbuster, but probably not called that in the book. And there's like a shooting that happens that night. The night was expected to bring tragedy. So yeah, it happens in New Year's Eve, 1999. And Oh, it is a Blockbuster Video. A Blockbuster Video in New Jersey. 4 teenagers working late as a store is attacked. Only one survives. And then there's 15 years later, there's an attack on an ice cream store in the same town, and only one person makes it out alive. Probably like wondering if they're connected kind of thing. But yeah, his books are really entertaining. They really pack a punch. So Every Last Fear I read before. That was a good one. And then what was his other book that I read that I really liked? Well, it's not listed in here, but I'm excited to read this. And I think the wait for this through my Libby is pretty decent, like maybe only a couple weeks. So I'll probably be reading this in the near future. But yeah, those are all of the books that I acquired for March. 17 books, 15 purchases, 1 library book, and 1 ARC. So let me know if you've read any of these, if there are ones that I should read sooner than later, or maybe ones that you actually don't recommend reading. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.